On today's episode of The Muse, we're exploring the Frida Kahlo exhibit at the VMFA. Hi, Dr. Powers. I'm Jordan. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Dr. Sarah Powers. I am the exhibition curator of Frida Beyond the Myth, and I've had the immense pleasure and honor to install this exhibition at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts.
So can you tell us a little bit about why it's so incredible that her work is being shown here in the United States? Because I don't know a whole lot about Frida, but I do know that her work is primarily shown in Mexico. And so it's kind of cool that it's being shown here in the United States.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have this exhibition here in Richmond. It is true that Frida Kahlo, she had a very, unfortunately, a very short life. So there's only, a very prescribed amount of work that she accomplished in her lifetime, and she's very much valued in Mexico. She's really considered a national treasure in Mexico.
I would imagine.
Yeah, so these loans are ones that are often difficult to negotiate, and we are really fortunate that we have about 19 different lenders to this exhibition, and many of them are from Mexican lenders, and also many of them are rarely seen outside of Mexico, including one painting at the end of the exhibition that hasn't been seen out of Mexico in 50 years.
When did she start to begin creating her own works of art?
Well, the first work in the exhibition that you see by Frida Kahlo is actually my favorite work in the exhibition. It's this beautiful portrait of her in 1926.
Wow.
It is the first self-portrait that she ever made. And we'll know, of course, that self-portraiture becomes something that she is known for.
Yeah.
But this painting actually it marks her announcement of her ambition to become an artist. Right before this, about a year before this, she had been in a devastating accident. The bus that she was riding on was struck by a trolley car, and it was just a horrific accident. Many people died. She probably, it's kind of a miracle that she survived, because she suffered back injuries, a broken collarbone, a crushed right leg, and most devastatingly, she was pierced by a piece of iron handrail that entered her abdomen and exited her pelvis. So if you can imagine the recuperation that she had to endure, she was lying on her back completely still and alone for almost a year.
Yeah.
And her family put a mirror over her bed and fashioned an easel that she could paint with. And before the accident, her ambition was to become a doctor. She wanted to study medicine, which right there shows you the confidence of this young woman. But she had to change paths, and art really became her battle for survival. This was the way forward for her, and creativity became kind of a vehicle to survive this horrific thing that's happened to her and come out the other side. Yeah. And what an incredible gift she gave us.
Absolutely.
I often think about the first responders at that accident and what a gift they gave generations of people, because not only, it was a horrible accident, but when they saved her, they not only saved her life, but also created this incredible artist.
Can we talk a little bit more about the relationships that Frida had? Because you talked about how important the relationship she had was before. Can you talk about how that impacted her art as well?
Sure. So probably one of the things that most people know about Frida Kahlo is that she was married to the great Mexican muralist Diego Rivera. And she often said that there were two great accidents in her life. The first was the bus accident, and the second one was Diego. And that Diego was much worse. And they had a long marriage. She first met him when she was a student at the National Preparatory School, although it was just a cursory meeting. But after she decided to become an artist, she approached him and asked him to critique her paintings. And they fell in love and they got married. She was very young. She was about 20, and he was much older than her, about 20 years older. And the courtship progressed rapidly, and they were married in 1929. And it was a partnership that was built on passion and understanding, but mainly partnership in art. and a understanding of creativity. But the marriage was very much a rocky one. It was defined by infidelities and betrayals. He had an affair with her sister early in the marriage, which really, I think, set the tone for a marriage in which both partners would be looking outside the marriage for other companionship as well. She had many affairs as well. She has that familiar gaze, but there is a bit of almost amusement. And again, she is certainly looking at someone that she trusted and loved. But we see her again in the clothes that she chooses, the flowers in her hair that become kind of her trademark, all of her jewelry, and she's made up her face is made up perfectly. And then she's set against this backdrop of flowers and this garden bench. It's really a beautiful image. And one thing that we've done in this exhibition, which I think hopefully will be a lot of fun for the viewers, is that we've allowed them to create their own self-portrait.
Wow. I was going to say, I see the pattern back here.
We've allowed them to create their own self-portrait in the same format. We've duplicated the wallpaper and given the setting of the garden bench.
That is so incredible. I am definitely going to be taking mini selfies here. I might even use Oliver to take some pictures for me, you know?
Wonderful. She is at this point in her life, she's seeing a lot of professional success, but she's also feeling the decline of herself physically. And when we see, for example, self-portrait with loose hair at the end of the exhibition, her hair is uncombed. She has no makeup on. And she's really starting to show us a little bit of that vulnerable side because she is starting to feel what she called the beginning of the end.
Wow.
She had many more surgeries at this point, and she was starting to really feel poorly. And we see her also proclaiming what is perhaps the biggest myth that she insisted on throughout her life, which is that she proclaims here I am, painted Frida Kahlo with my image in the mirror at 37 years old in my home in Coyoacan, Mexico, and where I was born. And what's interesting about this is that she wasn't born in 1910. She was born in 1907.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why she insisted on this is not because she was, lying about her age, which she was, but not for the reason why most women lie about their age. She was interested in aligning her birth date with the Mexican Revolution.
Oh, wow.
And so that really shows that she was interested in her Mexican identity as a primary piece of her identity, but also her political leanings. And so this became, it was something that she insisted on actually from a very young age, that she was born in 1910. She wanted to be seen really as a daughter of the Mexican Revolution.
Wow, I love that. She's very much so constructed her identity around who she wants to be.
Absolutely.
And I think that takes a lot of bravery because so many people today even can't do that. You also mentioned that she talked about this is her in her home. And we talked a little bit off camera about the design of this exhibition and the way that you all purposefully put it up this way. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we wanted to have kind of as a conceptual framework of this exhibition, Casa Azul. Casa Azul, the Blue House, is in Coyoacan, Mexico. It still is it's open to the public now as a museum.
Wow.
And it was the place where she was born, where she lived, where she worked, where she died. And so the colors of the Casa Azul, the dynamic architecture of the house is something that we really were trying to reference through the architecture of this exhibition. So we see these wonderful windows that give a sense of a domestic architecture. And it also allows us to see both past and present and future at the same time. We can look back at the works that we've just seen, but we also have sight lines to the future. We have this wonderful art space in which visitors can sit down, they can imagine their own self-portrait and create their own self-portrait, or a symbolic self-portrait if they prefer to think about still life. And then they can post it on the wall, and we already have quite a few self-portraits.
Yeah, we've got a lot of talent over here too.
Yes, yes.
This is incredible. I wonder who's going to be the next Frida.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. It was
You're
a pleasure
welcome.
meeting you. And I look forward to exploring the exhibit a little bit more.
Good, good. Please come back.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and tune in again next time for another episode of The Muse.